can't really get away with having a bad diet. Like some athletes can, to be honest. I'm not fortunate enough. So I'd say, to be fair, it's like 80% good and then 20% just like a normal person. I just can't afford to. And I think it's really interesting with your Whoop, like it really backs that.
You're always trying to learn and you're always trying to see what's working. If it is even on the carb loading side of things, pre-game, the day before, etc. I know that foods that are heavy in sauces and stuff don't agree with me. So my food's quite simple, especially on game day. There's no excitement with it, and that suits me and it works. So that's the way I go.
I do think from a recovery perspective, for me, it's all about food. And supplements, like you can have a protein shake if you're not getting your protein in, like no worries. Chocolate milk, we would have a lot of that. All our team would have a chocolate milk or something after a game. So yeah, I mean, I use supplements, but some of them don't work for me. Some of them I think are pretty effective.
Training days don't tend to change too much for me. Like, especially when you're in camp, everything is like laid out for you. We've a chef in the training centre, and it's easy to manage your nutrition. And then when you're at home, I love cooking, so I don't find it really hard. Normal, like a normal diet, obviously, like in the morning, it'd be like fruit, porridge, some sort of eggs and protein, and don't tend to have that many carbs in the morning. Some, like my sister's big into nutrition, she's always given out to me for not eating enough carbs, but I find I can train and stay at the same weight and perform. And then again, I used to, I don't know what Katie does, but I used to be obsessed with carb loading before games, and just found myself like, you should see, like rugby players are different, and like I said, there's a lot of bigger lads in the squad. You should see some of the stuff they pack away before a game. It's like, it makes me sick. Like I just feel I don't need as much, or I feel sluggish if I do. I know you've got to get the balance right, and I've chatted to our nutritionist about it, and I think we have a good balance. It would be normal breakfast and then like a spaghetti bolognese and then rice pudding, but just portion size. I eat until I'm full, and I feel I've had enough, but not sluggish, not overly full. And then some lads literally 2 full plates of mains, and I don't know how they don't get sick. Well, they do. Some of them do get sick before the game. I just turn away from them.
And in terms of nutrition, yeah, the carb loading I've tried, and it didn't work for me in the end. I just kept feeling like so sick in games, and yeah, you felt like you couldn't move. So I now have a thing on match day where I kind of eat regular, but in smaller amounts, smaller portions, which works best for me. Say if it's an evening game, I'd have obviously breakfast and a snack. Then the heaviest meal or the heaviest portion size I'd probably have it be at lunchtime, and then again I'd have something lighter then before the game. So yeah, it's one of those that you have to, it's a trial and error, but when you do get the balance and you know what's the right fit for you, yeah, obviously you feel like you're performing at higher levels then again.
I guess when we're training, you know, we can do as much as, you'd be like 25 hours a week on big weeks of like aerobic exercise, and then 3 or 4 weight sessions on top of that. So like in times like that, it's pretty much get everything you can into you, and like just make sure the calories are there, or else the next day is going to suffer, the next session is going to suffer, which is, it's nearly harder than when you're coming down to it, because you've to eat so much food and, you know, get all the calories in. You know, like you can make it a bit easier with kind of like gainer shakes and stuff like that, but it's definitely really important during those weeks for us anyway, to make sure we're getting enough in. We'd use the carb drinks as well during training a lot, because, you know, some sessions might be up to, you know, like 2 hours of rowing. So we just get the gels and carb drinks in then. And then I guess leading into racing, you're kind of eating less and less during the week, just to get rid of the first few kgs. And then I guess a few days before, we wouldn't be focusing so much on like calories and stuff like that. It'd be more like the actual weight of food. So you're kind of looking for the most amount of calories in the least amount of food, if that makes sense. You know, like low residue foods, we call them, like pasta and rice. You know, probably cut out fiber rich foods a few days before, because that holds on to a lot of water as well. So it's just yeah, it's a funny one, kind of things you wouldn't think, I guess. Like, we'd be staying away from the broccoli a few days before. I guess you'd think that would like make you lose weight, but actually you know, you'd be holding on to water and weight, which isn't ideal for us. So
we're lucky in the sense of we would get a weekly schedule where you'll have your training load on the schedule. So where you have a high day, you know you need to take on more that day, and then your lower days you need to take on more that, or less that day, obviously. But I think in terms of nutrition, like it's a case of, especially in the Gaelic sports anyway, I think everyone is doing a lot of the same stuff. So it's not trying to do anything different. I don't think you're going to gain an advantage from it. I just think it's if you're not sticking to it, if you're not monitoring it, if you're not doing well with your nutrition, you're going to fall behind. So I think there's probably just a mindset of it, just, you know, it's something you have to do in order to perform, but you're not going to gain anything really special from it. Do you know what I mean?
I prefer to kind of stay away from supplements a bit and try to get everything I possibly can from my diet. So I wouldn't take any supplements or any pre-workout or anything like that.
Think of a motor car, you know, and that's the best analogy. You know, you can have the engine, you can have everything topped up and everything's running great. If you don't have any fuel, I don't give if it's a Formula One or it's a Mini Minor, it ain't going to work.
Nutrition should always follow a food first approach. So any sort of supplementation on top of that is either for the guys that are looking for that small marginal gains and not replacing food. So supplements like Cherry Active for recovery will no doubt have some benefits for somebody like him. Whether it'll make any difference for me is unlikely.
And basically, you know, you knew what to eat around. You know, you had your after championship there. At one stage it was sandwiches for a while up in the dressing room, and then eventually went back to meals. I don't know how much the sandwiches was a nutrition thing or was it the county board trying to save money. But then you would get your spuds and your chicken and all that, and that's all fine after training and that. There was no real set thing. You would meet before games, and I still remember, here's an example, and I remember meeting me Donegal, and there would be maybe soup or whatever, or if you wanted a spud or whatever it was at the time, but a chicken. And when we would go upstairs to the main room, there was sherry trifle and cream out for the whole squad, right? Sherry trifle and cream, I swear to God, full cream and a sherry trifle. That was like your pre-match if you wanted it. And this was coming from the time when Donegal won the All-Ireland, 92, which they won the All-Ireland. They were eating sherry trifle and cream before bloody games, maybe. But like looking back at it, that's how mad it was in, because people had the mind that the sherry trifle was full of carbs, and that might have been full of bloody sherry, which might have helped us Donegal boys.